Hey folks, making a quick video here. Just found out while this a while ago, this little video here. So I'll make a quick video here and about the Mandela effect. What this guy who called in Coast to Coast says that he vividly heard on the news when Nelson Mandela died, and they had it on the news for like days. You know what I mean? On TV, on the news, on broadcast news, they had it for the days that he died. But here's the sound.
George, nice to talk to you again.
You too, Mike.
And to your guest, I had 2 points I wanted to make.
All right.
The Mandela effect. Interestingly enough, both my wife and I firmly believe that Mandela died in prison. We're absolutely certain of it. We both remember it vividly. Neither of us are idiots, although I've been working too hard today and my IQ is lower than a snake's belly in a wagon.
Do you remember how you would have heard about that?
Yeah, I remember seeing it on the news. It was a big thing. There were bits running about it for days.
On television?
On Coast to Coast, Mike?
Believe it or not, I did. We realized the Mandela effect before Coast to Coast, but I did hear the show, and as a matter of fact, Art did a listener poll where he had people who thought Mandela died in prison call in, and they were the yes, no, and it was, oddly enough, maybe the Coast audience is a little odd, but it showed that the vast majority of people that called in said that Mandela died in prison.
What's so strange is you recall it on television.
Oh, vividly. Also, just to make a second point, a good friend of my wife's is a political cartoonist called Aislinn. He's big in Canada. I don't know if you get him in the States. But Aislinn, we opened the newspaper one day, and there was his obituary, and he'd drawn his own drawing, showing the Reaper standing over his grave, and blah, 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 and there was a full-page obituary for him. We were both really shocked about that and sad because we hadn't heard anything about him being ill or whatever. And a few years later, they showed him on TV at some social event, alive and kicking.
And what did you think?
Well, we were both
Baffled.
completely blown away. The one thing that we were kicking ourselves is that I wanted to take the cartoon he'd drawn for his obit. I wanted to cut it out, and I was actually considering laser copying it up and framing it. And I kicked myself. I thought, that's kind of ghoulish, and I didn't bother doing that.
Right.
I had a third experience that's not nearly as interesting, so I'll just leave that out.
Did you think maybe there was a double put in or something?
With Mandela, it almost seems like a possibility to me, although I don't really see it. I can't really see a good valid point to doing it, especially for the length of time. No, I don't think so.
All right, but you would swear up and down you saw this on television. They announced he was dead for a couple days.
Yeah, and in the newspapers. I swear on my mother's grave.
That is amazing. So how do you explain that, Jeffrey? My gosh.
You know, again, I was not affected by that. I remember Mandela, getting out of prison, being the president of South Africa. But, George, this is the thing. When you hear, well-spoken, obviously professional, obviously educated people like Mike.
He's not making it up. He actually believes he saw it on television.
He actually saw it. And as to the cartoonist, I'm reminded of Mark Twain's famous quip, the news of my death has been greatly exaggerated. But this is the thing that made it impossible for me to dismiss the Mandela effect as much as I wanted to, George. People like Mike are living proof that, man, something is going on out there.
Really, I mean, it is absolutely bizarre, isn't it?
It is. It's one of the more bizarre things that I've come across, and I mean, I've seen witch doctors levitate, and I've seen crazy things, and this is right up there with it, George.
Valley Township, Pennsylvania. Steve's turn on Coast to Coast. Hey, Steve, go ahead.
Hi, George. Steve here.
Yeah.
Your sanity? My sanity, I should say.
Yes, sir.
Question for Jeffrey, and it combines a couple other things with the Mandela effect.
Yes, sir, Steve.
Back and forth in realities. And deja vu. Now, deja vu is a dream that most people don't remember that they dreamt it. They just have a feeling of deja vu. I am able to tap into dreams and know when I'm in a dream. I explained that to you in the past.
Yes, lucid dream. That's right.
Lucid dreaming. Great.
Now, I've had
It's not the same, but I
deja
don't
vu
know, it's the Mandela effect.
and lucid dreams combined, where I've seen the outcomes of certain situations, good ones and bad outcomes. And when these deja vu feelings come over me, I know what the outcome is going to be. And I'm able to change the outcome because I know what happened in my dream.
Huh.
Now,
Well,
I don't know if I'm tapping into a different.
I have that same thing too, but it's not really like a Mandela effect. It's like premonition, kind of. You know what I mean? You know when something's gonna happen. You dreamt it, or you know what I mean? You know it's gonna happen. It happened before. Well, you dreamt it happened before, like years or months before that actually the event happened. You can't quite get how exactly the memory, you know what I mean, how you dreamt it, but happened in that fashion. You know, but almost like, well, you remember it like it happened this way, but in your dream it happened another, you know what I mean? It was more vivid, but you're not sure, but I had that feeling, you know, sometimes. But that's what let's see what he...
Dimension, being in a dream state, you're at a higher level of consciousness.
Well, what do you think of that, Jeffrey?
Yeah, George, I'm sitting here pinching myself because this is kind of a deja vu for me. You know, I don't know Steve, never heard of Steve. I'm so glad that you called up tonight, Steve. But I have actually, over the last week, been pondering that very same thing. Someone had mentioned, I heard it somewhere, just a little snippet of, they thought that deja vu was us slipping or having some type of a contact with one of our other selves in some parallel universe. And I promise you, Steve, as I'm sitting here, that I was thinking to myself, if there are parallel universes, and if there are parallel Jeffs and George and Steves in those other universes, how could we learn to maximize our moments and our productivity and our efficiency in this universe by leveraging our energies, ourselves across other universes? And this is exactly what you're talking about, Steve. I don't know if we're both crazy, but I think our trains are running on the same track. That's absolutely fascinating, my friend.
All right, we're going to come back in just a moment on Coast to Coast AM, and we'll take final phone calls with Jeffrey Doherty. Jeffrey, give out your website. Spell it.
Okay, folks. It's a quick video on the Mandela effect again. But I'll just give out this whole video. I'll share this whole video out in my next post. Just, you know what I mean? Pretty soon. But this snippet of this Coast to Coast with Art, George Norrie. They're talking about the Mandela effect. And she was interested in the guy said, saw news of Mandela dying in the TV news, the paper and the newsprint. And he was there for days of coverage of him dying. The headlines in newspapers. But I don't remember that. I remember him coming out of prison. Headlines, 1990. Coming out of prison, big headlines on the newspaper. He's walking, I saw it on TV. He walked right out of prison. He walked right out of prison. I saw that. I don't remember him dying, like in the late 80s. But that's it, folks. See what you think about this one.